On yet. All right. Welcome, everybody, to the election edition of Under the Dome. For those of you who want to escape politics for a little while, um, and I don't blame you, I don't watch election returns anymore. I just wait to find out the next day. Uh, thanks for joining us. We're going to talk a little bit about Chicago and the game last night with Tampa Bay and the Giants. And we'll talk about the big battle that the networks are so excited about for Sunday Night Football. And we'll talk about the fight, which is hence the title of tonight's show, Next Contestant. We've seen Chauncey Gardner-Johnson in a fight with Michael Thomas. He got in a fight with Wims from the Bears. How many of y'all want to see another fight with Chauncey Gardner and somebody else? I'm waiting for the next contestant. Anyway, welcome. I'm your host, Alan Orrick, here with my partner, Sean Williams. How's it going tonight, Sean?
It's going great, man. Just sitting here watching the Saints and the Bears game on NFL Network as we speak. It looks surprisingly a lot like the game Sunday. But anyway.
You would think.
Yeah.
You would think.
Anyway, thank you guys for joining us on Under the Dome. We hope that you, as Alan said, you take an hour away from the election returns to spend with us. You can follow our show on Facebook at the Under the Dome podcast page. You can follow us on Twitter below our majestic faces, our tagline. And away we go.
All right, so let's begin with the Bears game. First thing about the Bears game, this is the same team basically that beat Tampa Bay 20-19 with Tom Brady forgot what down it was. Okay, so this is a good defensive team. We saw that Sunday. Eric McCoy has been one of our best graded offensive linemen, and he really had his hands full with Akeem Hicks, who, bears a grudge against us. He can't wait to beat us. He hasn't yet. I think the Bears have lost 5 straight times to us since 2011. It's a good, and then we went to this game minus Michael Thomas, minus Emmanuel Sanders, and last week's breakout star Marquise Callaway, 30-mile-an-hour winds, and we won the game, kicking and throwing the ball, because the Bears knew all they had to do was try and take away the run and dare Drew Brees to beat us.
Well, who was that we played in the playoffs a few years ago that just basically said the only way you're going to beat us is for Drew to throw it on us? And it just completely got way out of hand.
I think that was Carolina.
Okay.
I think it was. I'm almost positive it was Carolina.
It's kind of like pick your poison. You either going to face off and square up on a soon-to-be Hall of Fame quarterback, or you're going to take your chances with him turning around and handing the ball to Alvin Kamara. Mm-hmm. So it's not a really varied menu.
Well, and the Taysom Hill experiment was back last week. But like I said to some people on Twitter Sunday during the game, you had to look at Taysom Hill in that game as strictly a running back. This is just a third running back running the single wing or wildcat offense where he was the power runner, and he got a lot of positive yards. He was a short yardage power runner guy. this was not going to be a passing game. This is going to be a running game, especially when you're going into the wind, which was the bulk of the time that Taysom was in there. When we had the wind at our back, Taysom was not in there. And you saw him come in on second down and get yardage. And one guy said, hey, I think that's a wasted down every time. But I said, okay, so if Breeze hands off to Murray and Murray gets 2 or 3 yards on that carry, is that still a wasted down? Because that's how you have to look at what Taysom Hill was doing in that game. So I'm giving it a pass last week, given the game plan, and you're missing those 3 receivers. You're not going to throw the ball or risk throwing the ball with Taysom. You're just going to try and use him as a power back, as basically your third running back.
Yeah.
So that was my impression, and I thought it worked. I mean, he got 5 carries for 35 yards. That's a good average.
Yeah,
it really is. So I mean, if you had a running back that was getting 7 yards a carry, you'd be thrilled.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And
I think that the novelty of it has worn off a little bit, and people want to see the same results now that they were seeing it first when people weren't privy to how to stop it or how to deal with it. And it's just not going to be that way.
No. And I was happy that he was using the passing game. He caught a touchdown pass, so that in that game, the Taysom Hill experiment worked well because you had and you had somebody catch a pass and score. And when you're down to Deontay Harris, Tommy Lee Lewis, Austin Carr, and Juwan Jamison, as your primary receivers, and I'm just talking as receivers, not counting Cook, your tight end, and Alvin Kamara catching passes. As those guys, your receivers, I was glad to see Taysom Hill catch some passes. I thought Jamison caught some passes that were important in the game. Austin Carr caught the first pass of overtime. I mean, so you have to take all that in consideration when you're looking at this game plan versus, let's say you have Callaway, Sanders, and Thomas all out there, and you're doing the Taysom Hill shit, and you're running Austin Carr out there and shit like that. Then you can say, okay, and fuck all that. You shouldn't be doing all that. You're trying to work with what you got to put together a win. That's different. You're
making the best of a bad situation.
Absolutely. Because when we were down, believe it or not, when we were down 10-3, and then it became 13-3, I really felt like until that 2-minute drill, hey, this just isn't going to be our game. We have too many injuries in the receiving core. We cannot play a shootout game, especially because, they scored their touchdown 2 big pass plays. And I went, this shit here, we're not going to win that kind of game. We have to win an ugly, physical game. And we ended up doing that.
Yeah.
So that's the good thing.
And if you don't think it was a physical game, ask Gardner Johnson.
Was that the most bizarre thing you ever saw in your life?
It may not be the most bizarre, but I guarantee you it's probably in the top 5.
I mean, I can remember, fights with the Carolina Panthers. We had a couple, especially when Steve Smith was there. I can remember pushing matches and shoving matches with the Atlanta Falcons, the Philadelphia Eagles. We've had those kind of games, but I have never seen a player come up behind somebody who's not even covering him, tap him on the hip, and when he turns around, wham, takes a shot. And then, then he's like, what? And then he swings at him again, and I'm like, oh, that's his ass now. It's on. And I'm like, get him out. He's got to go.
Yeah.
So it was fun.
And he has the next 2 weeks to think about it.
That's right. And, like I said, this episode is called Next Contestant because we've already seen him get in a fight, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson get in a fight with Michael Thomas, with Wims. Who do you want to see him get in a fight with now?
Hopefully it'll be this week.
My choice is I want to see Chauncey Gardner-Johnson on AB Sunday night, and I want NFL mic him up so he can hear what the hell he says to this man, and then we can see the fight because it's going to set him like you go up to AB and say, "Hey, I noticed they got you wear their helmet, not yours," or hey man, how's that how's that ex-girlfriend of yours? She's still suing your ass? Are you trying to get some money? You gotta get some money tonight so you can pay that bitch? What you got?
Tell him after the game's over, you can come talk to the GOAT wide receiver on our team and get some pointers on how to stay in the league.
Right. Hey man, I heard your rap album. Whoo! You stick to your receiving job. Hey man, how was that speeding ticket you got? When back to the Steelers. I mean, I would love to see because AB is only that far away from just losing his friggin' mind.
Always.
Yeah. It'll be fun. But
I don't think, to be honest with you, I'm really hesitant to believe that AB is going to be that much of a factor. I say that, and he could go off for however many yards receiving in this game, but this is going to be his first game since the last one that he played in New England, which was was it at the beginning of last season?
Absolutely. It was like week 2. I think it was week 2. He played because they signed him right before the beginning of the season. He wasn't ready yet in week 1, and he's played week 2, caught a touchdown pass from Brady, and that was it. And the Bucs are all saying, "Oh, everything's be great." Brady's not in charge and stuff. Which that let's go ahead and start talking about that loser. Listen, Tom Brady's trying to LeBron James this league. He's trying to build a super team, and he needs to have all this talent around him so he can win and get the records and stuff. Drew Brees has won 4 in a row, without his number 1 receiver, throwing undrafted guys with not a very good defense either. And he's still coming back to win these games. And that 2-minute drive that he had right before halftime where he scored a touchdown, that's the 4th one he did in a row that has gone for a touchdown right before halftime. So I'm really questioning how good Tom Brady is right now, that he needs to have these superstar guys. He cannot make the guys around him better, and Breeze still can.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly the way that it should be said. I agree with that.
He needs to have great players to make him look good. And it's frustrating because the narrative, and here's a great example. The narrative that we got, I'm trying to find what was the tweet, how the tweet read. Okay. Drew Brees beats one of the NFL's best defenses in 25-mile-an-hour winds with no wide receivers. Saints can't win with him playing like this. Tom Brady barely escapes being the worst team in the league with the best defense in the league. Touchdown Tom finds a way to get it done and gets a call to prevent the game from going overtime, where we don't get the call that forces overtime.
Yeah.
And it's just
the fumble that wasn't a fumble.
right. Exactly. And that's another question I have for all you guys out there who are watching. What was your opinion on that call? Was that a fumble or was it not a fumble?
Well, they went to who was it? Pereira was the one on their broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
They went to him for the explanation, and the way that he explained it, that it actually does make sense. But there again, that's not the way that they called it on the field in real time.
And they never showed the play again in real time. You saw it in slow motion. So, in slow motion, yes, his forward progress was stopped. But you and I both know that if Demario Davis slips and he slides off of the tight end, I can't think of the guy's name off the top of my head, but that's the rookie tight end that, everybody wanted the Bears to go to the whole game.
Yeah.
It's and this guy runs all the way down the field, scores a touchdown. That's a touchdown. There's no forward progress stopped.
They had to wait until the whistle was blown, and they had a convergence of the entire officiating crew to decide that his forward progress was stopped.
And the guy, the official closest to the play, throws the bag out, showing that there's a change of possession. Now, granted, I can sit there and say, okay, maybe this guy looks down at the ground to see, okay, is anybody getting close to stepping out of bounds? And then it takes that half a second, looks up, sees the ball come out, throws the bag, because he'd rather err on the side of caution. And the guy on the other side of the field tries to make the call. I can accept that. I think it's wrong, but I can accept that, which is what basically they're saying. But there's no, like my brother's saying right here, there's no whistle blown to stop the play, which is usually what happens when you stop, forward momentum. Okay. And we've all seen many times them not blowing the whistle and guys getting, they're clearly stopped and somebody's got someone wrapped up and the other person's trying to strip the ball out. We see that all the time. And no, Calvin, the whistle didn't blow. Whistle blew after possession had changed and Demario Davis has the ball. Then they have the conference. And we all know we get the ball at that point. Ball game. Game's over. Yeah. Game is over. Okay? Last night, as bad as the Giants offense played, as bad as they were, in the third and fourth quarter with Jones throwing interceptions and shit like that, they get that one final drive, score the touchdown, go for two. Clearly, the guy gets there early. I don't want to hear this shit about he got there just as he in time to bat the ball. He doesn't even turn his head. He makes a beeline, hits the running back, and sticks his arm out at the same time as he's hitting the running back, okay? The back judge throws the flag because that's interference, and he talked him out of it. My attitude is stick with the call. What happens? All they do is they move the ball to the 1 yard line. So the 2 yard line, they try again for 2 points. It doesn't change the outcome of the game yet. It just gives them one more bite at the apple. And they don't even have the balls to do that. And it just, you're right. You're right. It pisses me off because once again, the officials in their effort not to interfere with the game, interfere with the damn game with that. Make the damn call. Okay. In that case, in the case of the Saints game, make the call. The guy fumbled, Saints ball game. He doesn't have to go to overtime, but they don't want to call the game that soon. And they want to build up this hype, or at least That's how it feels. It makes you makes you question the integrity of the league. Do they have a narrative? They're not shaving points and they're not doing anything, but they're influencing, just batting things. So, it has to go a certain way. And it drives me crazy. I don't know if they hate us so much, Jerry, as they don't give us the calls that other teams seem to get. I mean, because every team in the league can sit there and tell you how the officials hate them. They really do. Even the 49ers, the Patriots, the crust of the league will say that. I mean, hell, the Ravens are saying that right now in that game against the Steelers, that they hate us. They don't want us to win.
Well, everybody is going to, like you just said, everybody is going to sit there and tell you how the officials screw their team. And unfortunately, every time a call goes against your team, it's wrong.
Well, and like I said, I just feel like some of these breaks need to start coming our way again. We're not getting those breaks.
I don't really care so much about getting breaks. I just want it to be called right and fair.
Yeah, I do too. Because I feel like Sunday's game, Brady's going to get the calls he needs to keep it close. I said that last week against the Panthers when they took the Callaway touchdown off the board, which would have put us up by 11, and we had to settle for a field goal, only put us up by 7. That was a keep it close kind of call. Don't let it get out of hand. Keep it close. So we have people still interested. Late in the fourth quarter, there's time for one last drive. And how many games did we see, especially if you're a Chargers fan, how many games have you seen so far this year where a team has come back late in the fourth quarter and won a ball game? A lot.
It happened to them again this week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, you're seeing it over. I mean, granted, Atlanta pisses away leads too. And that's, the Detroit game was a great example of that. Another example of that. But I'm just saying, so many games, teams have come back when normally you're like, okay, it's over. This game's over. They're up by 10, 21 points, 25 points. And a team has come back late in the game. It's a lot of scoring, a lot of passing. It's like they're aware of the money in fantasy football. So a lot of fantasy stats, a lot of stars making the plays. And, I'm not launching into conspiracy theory. I just feel like, or it seems to me, that the league shapes defensive calls and penalties and the way the game just flows in favor of high scoring, close games where teams can come back late in the fourth quarter. The game is not over by the middle of the third quarter. The game, you're not sitting there going, okay, there's no shot. There's no shot this team can come back. They want that storybook comeback all the time.
Yeah. I mean, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, what are you supposed to call it?
Yeah. And Anna's asking if it stems from Bounty Gate. I think Bounty Gate's kind of been forgotten by the league. No one's really doing bounties anymore because I'm talking about league wide. How many comebacks and changes and so forth happen in games now, and high scoring games that we have. And then Mike Pereira posted this 3 or 4 weeks ago. He was talking about the penalties that were called, how holding calls are down, how offensive pass interference calls are down, but defensive pass interference calls are way up compared to last year.
Sure. And look at our games. You'll learn that.
Well, and I think that's part of our secondary's problem is in 2018 and 2019 to an extent, they kind of allowed the Saints to be a little more physical in man-to-man coverage. And earlier this season, they just bombarded the shit out of us with penalties. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that they weren't all justified. A lot of them were. Okay.
Yeah.
But it changed the way the Saints secondary plays defense now. We play a lot more zone. We do a lot more cover 2. And as a result, we are giving up a lot of pass plays, big pass plays, because we play such soft coverage. I mean, it drives me crazy. 3rd and 15, 3rd and 21. We give up a 22-yard pass. You know, the one that set up for the field goal to tie the ball game. It's 3rd and 19. We give up a 17-yard pass just inside his field goal range to make the field goal to send the game to overtime. And it's because if we play physical and press the guy, throw the flag, and now it's 1st down, and they're at whatever the ball should have been. So instead of 3rd and 19, not converting on 4th to go to 4th down, it's now 1st down, and we have a good shot of giving up the touchdown to win the game instead of just the pass interference to put them right there. Or I'm sorry, not the pass interference. Give up the reception and just try and tackle them right there, but you're giving up the yardage for them to get in position to tie the ball game. I know it's a long answer, but a lot of people bitch about the secondary, and I'm one of them. I bitch about it all the time, but at some point, I also feel like the Saints' defensive hands are tied. Unless
they're damned if they do and damned if they don't.
Unless you sack the quarterback or knock the ball down at the line of scrimmage, the Saints defense, at least, are not allowed to play pass defense, and it's frustrating as all hell. It really is.
I'm not going to sit here and give you some conspiracy theory on how the referees are out to get us, because I don't believe in that sort of thing. But I will say this. I've watched many games this year, and I don't see very many teams that are officiated the way that our team is.
You're right.
I'm talking about for example, what I was mainly speaking of was like the pass interference penalties. I haven't seen another team's defensive secondary put to task the way that we have been.
Oh, no. That's a running joke. You've seen the meme with the officials standing out there in a sea of yellow flags, right? And people say all the time, if the Saints do the exact same thing, what happens? Because there are plays where I'm just like watching the game going, oh, man, we would get so totally hosed if we did something like that. I would just expect a thousand. And yeah, you're right. Again, that feeds into the narrative. They don't like us, but it's frustrating because you feel like you're playing an extra opponent on the field.
Yeah.
And I've said this before, basketball. It's like when you watch a basketball game and your team 2 fouls, but the other team you're playing isn't double bonus. And they're killing you on your side of the floor and breathe on somebody and up foul, go to the line, 2 shots. I mean, you're like, hey, it's got to balance out. So you got to call it the same way on both sides of the floor.
Yeah.
And that's how you feel. I totally get that.
I'm not even going to say that I'm going to go out on a limb, but I promise you, you can write this down. This Sunday, you're playing against Tom Brady in his house. There is going to be a call that benefits Tom Brady. Absolutely. And it's probably going to be one that he stands out there and cries about and gets.
No, absolutely. I totally get it. I totally agree, because there's a push by the league, I feel, for Tom Brady to get to the NFC Championship, if not the Super Bowl, at least the NFC Championship game.
Oh, yeah, it's a feel-good story. Everybody wants Tom Brady to succeed without Bill Belichick.
And
he's running out of time.
Well, the narrative's already started because the Patriots are what, 2-4 right now,
Yeah.
2-5, something like
2-4.
that. Okay, and
No, I'm sorry, 2-5. You're right.
they are 2-5. I couldn't remember if they gave them a bye yet or not because of the COVID stuff, but it's clearly washed up. But the narrative with Brady already is, well, it looks like it was Tom Brady who was giving Belichick all those Super Bowls, not Belichick's coaching, which it's insane. But
Yes.
that narrative's already starting.
Yeah. It's absolutely asinine for anybody to buy into that.
But that's how I feel this season's going because of the way the spin Monday after the Sunday, okay, or last night after the Monday night game, the way that spin goes. Oh, look, Tom Brady's winning, without Belichick in an unfamiliar system, and he's getting guys to come over and play with him, and all these things, and it just feels like there's just so much pressure. And if I don't know if they want Brady Rodgers. I think they want. I honestly think they want Brady against.
Oh, Brady can't play Rodgers.
They want Brady against Russell Wilson because Russell Wilson is the leader in the MVP clubhouse, and they love Russell Wilson. Okay, so I think the Brady Rodgers, since it's already happened, and Rodgers got his ass kicked. That kind of lost their luster. But, yeah, they really want to see Brady. And I'd like to see Brady have to travel to Seattle and play in Seattle and beat Russell Wilson to go to the Super Bowl. No, Cam's not doing anything different than he did in the last couple of years in Carolina. Absolutely. He was never an accurate passer to begin with. And what Cam could do in his prime was run the football, and he was big and strong, and that was his advantage. And a lot of his passes were either deep shots to a speed receiver or passes to his tight end that would just extend drives. But Cam is just beat up, and he
used up.
You saw that a couple years ago. Now you're trying to play trying to put Cam in a system that's designed for precision passing. It's the old Ron Earhart system that Belichick learned when he was with Bill Parcells and the Giants, based on a physical running game, tight ends that catch the ball and run, and the Patriots are rebuilding. Yeah. Belichick has pretty much admitted it. The Patriots are in a rebuilding process right now. They need to get younger. They need more talent. And the best way you get talent is not drafting at the bottom of the draft every year, but you got to work your way up to the top part of the draft to get those elite players. And if you can't get those elite players, trade down to acquire more high round picks so you can get some more elite players. And that is this idea that Brady won Belichick all these titles is asinine, because that team last year got to the AFC title game in large part because of Belichick's coaching, not because of Tom Brady's quarterback play.
Yes, I completely agree with that. Speaking of new talent,
yes,
the news broke last night that the Saints have acquired linebacker Quan Alexander from the 49ers. Now, I'm going to put it to you this way, because I noticed that you responded to a post on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget just exactly how it was worded, but if you would tell everybody why this was a good move for the Saints to make.
Okay. So you gave up a 5th round pick, a conditional 5th round pick based on playing time, and Kiko Alonso, who just came off the PUP list last week, all right, for Quan Alexander, who is a younger linebacker. Yes, he has an injury history just like Kiko does. But you improved as far as talent over Alonso. And Alonso had a big cap number. I think the 49ers are still paying $8.2 million of his contract because they traded him, the guaranteed money. And the Saints are only paying, what was it? I got to look it up again because I had that tweet earlier. I want to make sure of the number. Okay. Yeah, the 49ers pick up $8.2 million of his contract, and the Saints only have to pick up $516,000 and get. You're saving money compared to what you were paying Alonso. You're saving money on that, and you got a younger linebacker, 26, I think he is, versus Alonso, who is 30. So, yeah, it's.
And you're getting a former Pro Bowl player.
He is somebody that yes, I think he went to the Pro Bowl his last year with Tampa Bay, which is why the 49ers paid him so much money to come over. And the 49ers, they pretty much Tom Brady's had a lot of top defenses, which has helped him a lot. But he had an ankle injury, a torn pec muscle, and came back to play in the Super Bowl. Then he had a high ankle sprain. He had a torn ACL when he was in Tampa. So, I mean, he's had a lot of injuries. I'm not sugarcoating that. But he lost his job to Greenlaw and basically Fred Warner over there in the 49ers. So he was their fourth best linebacker. With the Saints, we were talking about this in the beginning when we signed Nigel Bradham. They wanted some veteran experience because, you really only have Bond and Robertson. And Robertson at this point now is really more of a special teams guy. You wanted somebody in there with speed who can cover the tight end because the bootleg's been killing us. I think he fits all those things. It's just a question of, can he stay healthy?
Yeah. Well, whenever you have a player that plays and he gets traded from one team to the other in the middle of the season, there's certain things that I look at. Is this a sign that he was a problem for the organization? Is he a problem in the locker room? Stuff like that. And I saw the reaction from several of his teammates, how shocked they were and how mad they were that he was traded. So that tells me he's going to be somebody that's worth having in the locker room.
And the 49ers needed to shed his salary, honestly.
Yeah.
They've got players they need to pay, and this is what we were talking about off air, and I mentioned this last week. That's why I think Garoppolo is probably on his way out in San Francisco because they paid him a lot of money, and I think they're ready to move on from him too. They traded Buckner to the Colts in part because they got players they want to pay. Bosa's one of them, on the defense this year. And that's the problem the 49ers have right now. They have to pay Kittle, who we won't see for the rest of the year. Thank you very much. I hate that bastard. I'm sorry. I really
he
do.
and Garoppolo are both, they're going to be down for 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, well, they're pretty much, because there's 8 weeks left in the season, they're pretty much writing Kittle off for the year. There's a possibility, assuming the 49ers make it to the playoffs, there's a possibility he will be back if they get in the playoffs. I'm hoping they don't make it. I'm hoping Arizona. I was going to actually play the song for you there, Calvin, but I didn't do it. Tiger Egg. Yes, they've, people were, LSU Saints fans were excited. They got an LSU player. I'm surprised. I thought maybe there might have been one or two more moves today. I thought Fuller from the Texans was going to get moved today, but I did not see anything. Of course, I'm off of social media right now, but okay. I was hoping that we would see Fuller move today. I would like to have gotten Will Fuller from the Texans as an extra receiver, not because I think Callaway deserves the shot at the 3 anymore, but I want a veteran in there, somebody with speed. So you're not relying, because Sanders right now is a guy who is going to catch the ball, make one or two moves, but pretty much go down where he gets tackled. Thomas is going to be a move and change guy. Or being a younger receiver is the guy who's going to catch the 10-yard pass and have a good chance of taking it the distance. And I think that's where he would fit in. You're one speed guy. You want somebody who's going to get some speed and get something going. So nothing else has happened, of course, today. I listened to what's his name, Jay Glazer. He didn't think much was going to happen on the trade deadline, but some of the other people said watch for Wednesday and Thursday. They may make a trade today, but not officially get the news out until Wednesday and Thursday, when you can take physicals and that kind of stuff. So it's still possible. Yeah, I heard that too, that the Texans wanted too much for Fuller, like a second round.
Well, they have to they've had to move him up the depth chart, so to speak, because they don't have Hopkins anymore.
Well, and the Texans are missing their first and second round pick this year, because the second round pick I think goes to Miami, and the first round pick second round pick is the Rams. First round pick is Miami's, because the trade they made 2 years ago for that tackle, the left tackle, the Ole Miss kid, Tunsil, yes. So they need draft picks. I'll be honest with you. If I'm trading a first or a second to the Texans, I want Deshaun Watson, and we can talk. You want my first round? You want my first and second pick? Give me Deshaun Watson, and we'll call it a day.
Yeah.
That won't happen.
There is a very, very, very short list of players in this entire league that I would trade a first and a second round draft pick for.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very, very short list.
Would Watson be on that list?
I don't know. I think some of the shine has come off of Watson this year.
Well, he's playing on a shit team.
Well, not just that, but he's not making the plays that he did. And you and I talked about this, just like with Lamar Jackson and these other guys. You get film on you, and then defensive coordinators have nothing to do for a year. But think about how to stop you. That's when they find out just exactly what kind of players these guys are. Because if you are a real prototypical player, not prototypical, if you're a real franchise player, I'll use that one instead, you're going to be able to deliver no matter what.
Yeah.
And Lamar Jackson is making some plays, but he's not producing at the clip that he was at this point last season.
Now he's going through, even though this is his third year, he's going through that sophomore slump where people know what to expect in the run RPOs. And to Jackson's credit, at least he admitted that he has to become a better passer to become a better quarterback. He understands eventually you have to be a drop back passer. I think the RPO plays in general are starting to lose their luster because defenses are getting much better at defending that play. They're staying
True.
home and staying in the lanes. So no matter which way you go, who has the ball, you're waiting for it. So that's why you're seeing more of the jet sweeps coming out. Instead of just handing it to the running back, they're now doing the jet sweep around to try and overcome that with people staying in the lanes and staying home. So,
Yeah.
it's that's at least how I see things. And once again, it's why every single time these announcers talk about the death of the drop back passer and how the league is going to running quarterbacks, and you're going to have to be a guy who can make plays with your feet as well as your arms. I'm like, no, it can't happen because defensive coordinators are too good and the defensive players are too fast. Look at the difference that you're seeing in our pass rush with Davenport in the game now compared to Hendrickson. I that was something I wanted to give a shout out. I agree with my brother. Lamar is overrated. Watson is not. I agree with that. But
I agree. Yeah, I can agree with that.
You saw on a simple stunt where, Davenport slips in behind and then attacks the middle of the defense. He was too much for that center to handle. Now, granted, it's a backup center. It's not Cody Whitehair. But he just bowled that dude over to make the first sack of the ball game of the 5 sacks that they had. And he really got a part of the second sack, and idiot Aikman got the wrong player, named the wrong guy who made the sack. But that's typical. But, I mean, have another drink, Troy. The reason why this is why I say the running quarterback is something that just cannot live for long in the NFL, that you have to become a drop back passer because you have to get rid of that ball. You cannot sit there and hold it. You can run, but you have to get rid of that ball in 2 seconds or less because defensive linemen aren't going to let you run around much longer. They're going to start taking away what you like, where you like to run, and they're going to punish you when they catch you. And you get these animals who are 6'6" and close to 300 pounds that can run 4.4s.
Yeah.
And you're running a 4.4 or a 4.3, they're going to catch you.
Well,
they're going to catch you.
My reason, I agree with you about the whole thing you just described, but to me, it's different. I don't think that organizations really are in a hurry to invest money in a quarterback that's got to run for a living, because you're going to have too rapid a turnover on that, because the wear and tear that the quarterback is going to get by taking those extra hits.
Exactly. I mean, that's why we're saying Cam's washed, because he has gotten so beat up from doing that, because those guys, they're like, you son of a bitch, you're going to do the Superman grind? Take a little of this when I bring you down. I'm going to wrap you up, squeeze you a little bit, and drive you into the ground. It's legal, but I'm going to take that little extra shove, and after a football player, I'm trying to think of who it was. I want to say it was Jerome Bettis, but it was a running back who described getting tackled in the NFL for a whole game where you're the ball carrier and you're getting hit.
It was Bettis.
It's like getting in a car accident, T-boned and rear-ended 10 and 12 times in a single game. And you do that for 16 plus weeks.
Yeah.
And, they were showing him I do remember this with Bettis, getting up out of bed, using a muscle stimulator so he could stand up on a Monday after a game. So he can get up, get dressed, and head to the facility, get some treatment, and go out there and play. And now you're a quarterback and you're using other muscles That's why these quarterbacks know they have to evolve past being just a pure runner. Or if you are a runner, like Russell Wilson, you're getting the hell out of bounds. You're going to try to avoid the hit. And Russell Wilson is one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the league. He was last year. He's again this year. But Russell Wilson, kind of like Pierre Thomas, is good at avoiding the crunching blow. He's not diving in the middle of the offensive line. He's not trying to run over somebody. He's trying to get out of bounds. He goes down. He curls up and tries to protect his body as best he can. So, yeah. Everybody's ripping into Troy Aikman and Joe Buck. I'm sick of them too. I just don't think. I don't think they are as good as everyone makes them out to be as an announcer team. They're just the best of the worst that Fox has right now.
Yeah,
I can't stand listening to them because they have nothing interesting to say. Honestly, I didn't think much of Tony Romo as a player. I didn't enjoy watching him play, but I love him as an announcer because he has interesting things to say. He's willing to be critical, but not in a mean way. I love when we didn't get Michaels and Chris Collinsworth for that Thanksgiving game, and we ended up getting Tirico, Dungy, and Harrison because Harrison called people out.
Yeah.
He's like, that's a dumb play. This is why Atlanta loses. And I'm going, thank you. Thank you. Someone who's willing to be critical, and Dungy, being polite and being nice, but he sits there as a coach and says, this is what I would do. This is where I think you need to go. And that kind of, and Tirico, I think, is one of the best of the business on play-by-play. I always have thought that. I think they're wasting his career, him hosting. He should be doing play-by-play. And if Drew is going to do Sunday Night Football, Tirico needs to be play-by-play. If Michaels is retiring, Tirico needs to be in there because Tirico is the best. The only other person I think is in his category as far as being a good play-by-play guy is Jim Nantz on CBS. That's it.
Yeah. I can agree with that.
I know. That's a rant about announcers, but, here I go. Okay. So my that's really all we have to talk about tonight. What's your prediction for Sunday night?
God.
How do you think the game is going to go Sunday night?
Honestly, I don't have a clue. You saw these two teams play in week one, and I think it's obvious that both teams are completely different from what you saw in that game.
Mm-hmm.
I look for it to be close, though.
Oh, I do too. Absolutely.
I'm talking about decided probably in the last half of the fourth quarter.
I agree. I think what we've seen so far, this is the Saints team we're going to get for the rest of the season. Not I think we're going to be better offensively because I think Thomas, Sanders, and Callaway all will be back for this game. But I think this team is going to be one of those teams that every week until we start playing the Falcons. Well, I can't even say the Falcons. You start playing the Broncos and the Eagles. This every game's going to be within a field goal or a single touchdown, late drives, close games. I just feel like, Brady's going to get his calls. Yeah, I know it's next season. But Brady's going to get the calls. They're going to make the big plays. I don't know. I think our defense is still going to give up big plays, but I think they're going to crack down on the running game and make the key plays late in games that keep it close, give our offense a chance to win the game. So, do you have a prediction maybe of what the score is going to be?
No.
No?
No, because I to say that I would be in the same ballpark, I'm not even in the parking lot outside the stadium across the street from the ballpark when I make predictions like that. So, okay, let me see. I would say something in the neighborhood of 30-28, just in that neighborhood.
Yeah. I'm going to go 34-31 Saints. Will Lutz, you knew as soon as they were all talking about how perfect Will Lutz has been all season, he was going to eventually miss one. And it really was on Morstead, who forgot to spin the ball so the laces are away, because no kicker wants to kick the laces because the weight of the ball is tilted towards the laces. So, if you spin it away, that's why they want to kick it. So, the ball is going to spin and turn that way. So, he would have been perfect if Morstead gets the ball spun. But I think it's going to come down to a Lutz field goal. I'm not going to predict overtime, but it's going to be I think it's going to be one of those kind of games where Saints may jump out a little early, or the Bucs jump out early, look like they got a good size lead. Saints kind of fight their way back, get it close. I want the Saints to lose the toss so they get the ball in the second half, because I always like that. Yeah. And third quarter is going to be the deciding factor in this game. Third and first part of the fourth quarter. I think that's the deciding factor of this game. Who's ever leading in the third and fourth quarter, I think will probably win the game. Because I think the comeback in the fourth quarter by either team, it's going to be close, but not enough. The edge, I give the Bucs the edge on defense. I give the Saints, believe it or not, the edge on offense if they're healthy, because I think Kamara is better than all the skill players of the Bucs. I know it's outrageous to say, but that's how I see that. But I think the edge on special teams goes to the Saints. Last week, Deontay Harris got us great field position on kick returns and punt returns. I think he does the same thing this week. I also would not be surprised to see a Taysom Hill block, of a Tampa punt. And I think we win the turnover battle.
Okay.
And I think those are the differences in that game that make up for the overall talent advantage on offense. On defense that the Bucs have. Because I think our defensive line, let's see where Davenport plays a lot this week too, because with losing Rankins to a sprained MCL, Anyamata is going to get the start. But Davenport, they've played him a lot at the 3 technique, defensive tackle. He's got the size and speed to play that as well as the outside end. Let's see what happens with the offensive line of the Bucs, because I think that's the weak link for the Bucs. They may have it in receivers and tight ends, but I think you can get pressure because Brady doesn't move. You can get the pressure inside on Brady, and I think that will help the Saints get off the field on third down, or help the Saints get off the field and allow the special teams to influence the game. So I agree. Calvin says he's got Tampa winning because they don't want the Saints to get ahead of Brady in the playoff race. I know, but I want them to do it. Yeah, because I have a feeling that it's going to be like Carolina from 2017. We have to play these bastards 3 times in one season. I just do. So I'm going to say 34-31. Yeah, I agree. I agree, Calvin. One of the worst officiated games of the week. Yeah. That's why we have to sack Brady multiple times, and we have to get a couple pick sixes or turnovers. We have to win the turnover battle in the spring. Thank you
I gotta
guys
make
for
the
sticking with
donuts,
us.
brother.
I know you do. I know you've been watching. Thank you guys for sticking with us. And I tell you what, the rest of the schedule doesn't look that bad anymore once we get past the Bucs, because with the probability of facing Mullins now without Kittle and the 49ers at home looks a lot less daunting. And then we do our Falcons, Broncos, Falcons, Eagles, then the Chiefs. So if we can win this game at Tampa, there's our winning streak I keep talking about in the middle of the season, because we should be able to beat, even though it's in Denver, we should be able to beat the Broncos. We should be able to beat the Eagles for sure, and sweep the Falcons. And if we can do that, we set ourselves in a great position to win the division. Tonight, Sunday night is going to be the division decider, believe it or not. I feel that.
I do too.
You know, you're up by 2 games on the Bucs. You should win the division on that one. And then everything points to the Kansas City Chiefs in December. That'll probably be the end of our winning streak. Minnesota, I would have said, is a dead duck, but Dalvin Cook came back in a worse way, in a big-time way against the Packers, but the Packers are soft against the run. So, you know, this looks good. I mean, we just have to win Sunday night, and we should do well for the rest of the season and at possibly matching the 3 record again. You know, that's how I see it. But it all starts Sunday night. So thank you guys for sticking with us. We'll see you next time on Under the Dome. Good night, everybody.